There we go. Okay, there we go. So we're discussing Yasna 4311, Gata song 811, and she's not with us in person, but we want to thank Dinaz Dehmobed for her beautiful voice to record the audio of this verse for us. And let me know if you guys can hear this okay.
Now Trahurahe Masdal, spent him at the wall. Masdal Meki Ahural, Yatma Vohu Pairi Jasad Manai Hal, Yashma Uchtash Didain Ke Paurbin. Sadra moisans, mashyaishu zarazdaytish, tat vrezye diay, yat moy mrauza vahishtem.
Okay, and I will read the 3 different translations for you. I realize you, God wise, to be progressive when I was encircled by it through good mind, and when I first learned from your words that it would be difficult for me to teach people the devotion to practice what you told me is the best. This is Dr. Jafari's. Now we have Khosrow Khazai's. Oh Mazda, I found you progressive and productive when good thought came to me, and I learned from your words and sensed that the spread of your doctrine amongst humans is difficult, but I will do the best I can to accomplish this. And verily, I believe thee, O Mazda Ahura, to be the supreme benevolent providence when the good mind came to me with enlightenment, when first I received and became wise with thy words. And though the task be difficult and hardship may come my way, I shall proclaim thy message, which thou declarest the best. And we have the summary substance. Zarathustra realizes Mazda to be progressive when enlightenment encircles him through his own good mind. He comprehends the divine message and also realizes it would be difficult to teach people so used to their old age cultic beliefs to accept and practice what Zarathustra has learned to be the best. Pondering point, blind faith bars one from seeing the light, enlighten them to help them see. So with that, let me see if I can make sure I'm not missing anybody in the waiting room. No, we're good. Okay. I want to share what my take is on this. I think, in my opinion, the most difficult thing in human culture is changing behaviors. Trying to teach or say something that is not that person's way of thinking or upbringing is the most difficult thing to do. For all of us humans, I think change is difficult. Some of us more difficult than others. That's why we stay in the same house, keep the same friend group. We keep our jobs even though we may not like it. It's because change is difficult. And one of the things that I personally experience in explaining Zoroastrianism to people who've grown up in Abrahamic cultures is the confusion look I see on their faces when I say, your mind is your guide. And they say, what do you mean? I don't have to do A, B, and C. I don't have to follow. What am I supposed to do when this happens? What am I supposed to do? So basically, they're looking for a set of rules instead of using progressive thinking to come to a solution. And as we can see, even in Zarathustra's time, in his own words, that was even worse because people had cultic beliefs. They believed in multiple gods. They believed in sacrifices. They believed that, if the god of sun and the rain don't cooperate, they won't have harvest. So to get them to stop that thinking, obviously he expresses it was very difficult in his time. And honestly, I think to this day that continues, not maybe in the same format, but it is still extremely difficult to get somebody to take a step back and think different than the way they've been taught, or the way that they've thought all their life. So let me try to explain her point of view.
So good morning to everybody. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being in this format, just sharing your opinion with us, because after all, we learn from each other and each other's point of view. So when I look at this one verse, I think that, wow, 4,000 years ago, this one person who in my mind is one of the first teachers, he is a teacher. So he's expressing his frustration in a way, saying that I need to tell people to be progressive and productive. That is what this verse is all about. Because when the creator, God, Ahura Mazda, whatever at that point was in his mind, the reason for this creation, that is the creator, the reason for this creation. When that reason for creation, the creator of whatever is progressive and productive, he found that out on his own. And now he's expressing the fact that he has to share it. And it's hard because it's a hard concept, because it means that a person, humans, have to think for themselves. They have, but then he's assuming these people have the power, have the know-how. If they have the will, they can. So the presumption is that mankind is smart and has a good mind and can understand what is it to be progressive and therefore productive. That is a huge statement. As if, compared to God tells us to do so. God created this creation. God wants it this way. A lot of people, when somebody dies, out of a disease, because of a disease, or too soon in life, or they had a car accident, this is everyday life. And there are people, and many, many people in many, many cultures and nations who say that is God's plan. God has better plan. What plan? So if you're actually a wise, smart person who thinks and realizes, you have to come to a very logical conclusion, because everything that is happening every day in our life has a reason. And 90% of the reason is us. We make it happen. We make choices. We are progressive or regressive. We choose to do whatever. And to teach people 4,000 years ago that is not an act of God, and it's not by coincidence, it is what you make of it. You have to understand, you have to open your mind and accept. I don't think I was progressive when I was a teenager, because we were told by our parents culturally, do this, don't do that, this is good, this is for your own good, this would damage you. We all were. My generation, we listened to our parents. They never told us that you have a mind of your own, kind of like, go think about it, go visualize it, go envision it, go learn, and then make up your own mind. And then be okay with change. If you're not okay with change, then you do not become progressive. Times are changing. I don't know what Fariba is doing. I can't see anybody, so I hope you guys can see something. So I think to be progressive and productive should be a goal in everybody's life. Every day, learn something new, change your old ways. This universe is changing constantly. The things that were valid 10 years ago are no longer valid. You know, I'm a pharmacist. There are so many drugs that when I graduated from school were in the market that were pulled off the market. You have to be able to understand better and more advanced is good. You all have seen all these drugs that are, people are taking for diabetes, Mounjaro, Wegovy, Ozempic, all these new drugs. When they came out, it was scary. It was scary to imagine somebody who's not going to be on insulin. It was scary to imagine if somebody is obese, they can just get this injection, use it for a few months, and they lose 50 pounds without hard work. But if you're progressive, you go and look at the reasoning. You look and see, why is this drug the drug of choice now? In 5 years, it may be off the market. Very possible. And I think that people should be okay with that. Because if there's something better, if this is proven to be harmful, then just move on. Just move on. The past has passed. The future is for us to make. So this is a beautiful message if we actually apply it to everyday life, being progressive, open to suggestions, open to new ideas, open to change, and productive. Do something with all that progressiveness and make it count. Do make an impact. Teach other people. Tell other people so they know there are all these other ways of thinking and accepting life and moving on as an individual. That is my take on it. It's just one verse, but I'm like, wow. When Zarathustra realized that this is a progressive universe, this creation is ever changing. Who would have thought that? Who would care 4,000 years ago to think about this whole creation is progressive and productive? Who cares? Just move on, get your food, go to the farm, pick the harvest, just live. But he didn't. So any one of us should be following his, footsteps and be progressive and productive. So having said all that, I would love to hear what you think about this verse. And we start from Karuna because she was first on the Zoom. I would love to hear your opinion and your take on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gosh, yeah, this probably would have been a punch to the gut in so many respects because, I mean, with a lot of the, I think, ancient beliefs, it's like you said, Mitra, it's, oh, we have to please the sun god and the wind god, and if they're not getting along, then, oh dear, bad things are going to happen. So I think, understandably, hearing something new is going to be, new or different, is going to be difficult. And I think there's a certain level of healthy skepticism. I think, you don't want to dive in too deep to something new, but being open to it, I think, is the key. I grew up, it's primarily a strong Christian community, a decent Jewish community, and I have some Muslim acquaintances, the Abrahamic traditions, and I think it was brought up a lot of, and just using the Abrahamic traditions for an example, I'm not picking on them. There's a lot of you have to follow X, Y, and Z rules, or this verse says you can do this. This passage says you can do this. And when it comes from a morality and ethics thing, that from a morality and ethics perspective, I think that's where we run into, okay, that can be rigid. But I also think some of the things I see, traditions, like there's an Orthodox Jewish woman in Canada whose channel I follow, and she really loves the traditions and the customs of that community. That's what she grew up with. And so even though I'm seeing, well, why do you have to cover your hair after you're married? Is it really a big deal that your elbows can't show or your knees can't show? But for her, it seems like that structure and that tradition is meaningful. So I think hearing something like this, if the traditional way, whatever that means, kind of upends that, I can understand the resistance. But at the same time, because I think tradition with things like that, a lightning bolt is not going to strike you if your hair shows. At least history has shown, none of us are being struck dead right now. And if you are, please seek help. But I think that's where some resistance can come in. If something is meaningful for you, if something provides structure and meaning, even if in the grand scheme of things it doesn't, for lack of a better term, do anything. I think that's why we see a lot of hanging on to the old ways, whatever the old way may be.
We can all do whatever we want, but the point is that the suggestion is that try to be progressive and productive. If
Exactly.
it's not for you, it's not for you. Not everybody would think the same way, but at least the suggestion should be out there. The suggestion came 4,000 years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
it happened before that, but since we know that, why not? Why not try and see? So thank you so much for your comments. I appreciate it. Eric, would you like to go next? What is your take on this?
Oh, yes, of course, I would like to go next. So, first of all, Fariba Jan, I don't really want to paraphrase you because I completely agree with everything you've said. So maybe I'll focus on this part because actually it reminds me of the last week, because last week we supposed, me and another convert, you might know him, Bruno from Poland as well. He converted under, I think it was Ali Jafari back in 2009 or something like that. The man is a bit, well, he's 20 years older than I am, so he obviously has more experience, he's very knowledgeable about, but he even runs a Facebook page about Zoroastrianism in Polish. There's about 1,000 something people following, including the Mufti of Poland and also the Catholic Church officials. Lots of people, we even have a rabbi, I suppose, that follows. And we were trying to gather some sort of community because, well, as long as I know there's a few more converts or people who are very into the topic but don't really know how to, acquire more information or don't really know about the rituals, about the basic beliefs that Amesha spent us, the whole Koshti ritual. Let's be honest, it's a very important part of Zoroastrian life. It's not just read the Gathas, we also have to do other things. And we tried to gather a small meeting, he, me, and two more people, and it didn't work. And most of people, it doesn't matter if they're, Polish, Americans, just Europeans in general, even some people I've met from Iran don't know about Zoroastrians. There's a case from last month. I traveled to Germany, and it was the Heidelberg, the city of Heidelberg. And me and two of my friends, we went to see the Heidelberg Castle, and there was a bar. I went to, have a pretzel and beer. And the man behind the counter, he was from Iran. And I when I go outside, I always wear like a small necklace with the flower heart. And he asked me like, "Are you from Iran?" I said, "No." I was like, "Why do you carry that?" "Because I'm Zoroastrian." But like, what do you mean? I'm like, Zoroastrian is Zartoshti. He didn't know what I was talking about. The man was from Tehran. So I wouldn't really call it ignorance because, of the history and things that have happened to, the Sasanians. Well, there's lots of reasons why many people in the world don't know about Zoroastrians. But here's the actually part of this verse that really I can connect with, judging by my recent experience. So, and I learned from your words and sense that the spread of your doctrine among humans is difficult. It is because there's just so many ideologies that might resonate somewhat with Zoroastrian. Some might be very against that. We live in a, age of information. You basically can believe in anything you want, and it's difficult for many people to find the right way. And obviously people are different. There are different things that interest them. And I can see that on, the example of my friends, for example. There's been about like more than 100 people I've talked to about Zoroastrianism, and most of them don't even know what that is, and just not really a different perspective on this song, but just maybe a different approach to another verse from it that explains the overall picture, I believe. So yeah, I don't really want to take time. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. No, that is very nice. You mentioned in Poland the conversion and all that, but you know what? Being a Zoroastrian or following this ideology has nothing to do with converting. There are many
Obviously,
people
yes.
walking about, and that is a good thing. There are so many people on this earth who are progressive and productive and are atheists. That they got the message. They have it. They thought about it themselves. I'm not giving credit from anybody to them. There are people who have not even seen the light or have heard about Zarathustra or Ahura Mazda or any other religion. And fortunately, they are wise enough, they have used their mind good enough to understand that it is good to be progressive, productive, and leave a positive impact. So kudos to them. But this message has to be shared. The bottom line is that Zarathustra was the teacher, the first teacher. We are all agents, and we just can just tell people that, you know what, it's on you. It is difficult. Nobody wants to take the whole burden of this life. It is difficult. It is not fun, but it is the right thing to do. So thank you so much for that, Eric. Mark, would you like to share a little bit of your opinion?
Yeah, sure. So the majority of the message of Zarathustra is the fact of self-liberation. It is not the imposition of moral value. We run into issues with people when we try to impose our perspective onto them instead of allowing love to flourish as an existence of, like, just as an extension of ourselves. This is where people run into a lot of problems when they have interpersonal relationships as well. They think that love is a form of domination, whereas love is a form of accepting somebody for as they are, and an ongoing process of them being and becoming whatever they need to be. So this whole thing, and I feel like this is something that Zoroastrians do as well, is we try to impose a perspective. We have all run into Zoroastrians of all sizes and shapes who see Zarathustra's message and they read further and they get into the weeds with things that are no longer applicable to our day and age, such as a lot of more regressive Zoroastrians have the perspective where they dislike homosexuality because of a mistranslation. They tend to follow it within an Abrahamic lens rather than the message of Zarathustra that is all liberating, such as I choose to do something not because I'm commanded to, but because I choose to do it. It is the ultimate act of self-ownership, whereas the values which I align to are my own, and they are not designed to be dominated for another human being. My job is to push the ball of progress forward by acts which they start by thinking, right? But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is you're actually going and doing things. So I feel as though this message within itself is kind of continuing to, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, Mazda Yasna is all about liberation. It's all about freedom. It's all about you choosing. We could see that within Porochista's wedding, where Zarathustra was like, hey, look you got to kind of choose your person, right? I'm not here to impose what I believe needs to be done, but choose what's best for you and do that. Understand the material world around you and work within that. There's no magical space, whatever, coming to save you, because we all have task and purpose on this world, and it's up to us to be kind to one another and to push each other to liberation, whether that is to the liberation of women, where it comes for feminism. It's understanding that we all need to work together to help each other to continuously push that ball forward. And as Karuna spoke about, where that older, more orthodox woman was comfortable within that, she chose her form of self-liberation. She chose to actualize on her existence around her instead of just saying, oh, well, I'm doing this because I need to. She says, I'm doing this because I'm free to do so. I'm choosing to do this. And this is where I'm very big into the volunteering space, where a lot of younger more active feminists, they tend to see the raising of children as like a negative mark. And, you know, I'll have older feminists that have been in the movement for quite some time. They'll try to explain like, no, these women are happy. They have chose this form of liberation. They have actualized on their existence. They are happiest when they are raising their family, because that's empowering to them, because they're raising the next generation to also be empowered. And empowerment is also subjective. You know, there are some who choose empowerment not to do that. There are some who want to have a family, don't want to have a family. Whatever it is that you want to do, it's important that you do it without the. So there's a philosopher called Max Stirner, and he centers around egoism. And within the spooks of society, like these grand impositions where I need to do this because society tells me to, whereas I'm doing this because I want to. I'm doing this because this is something that I want to do, something that I think is important. I'm not going to force anybody else to do it, but I will work with others to accomplish the end goal. So that's my perspective of this.
Thank you so much. Yeah, what you said resonates. And I am just so impressed that the translation of this yasna says progressive and productive. It's a huge, large term covering so much. It's just like a broad spectrum antibiotic that is, you know, it's just one pill that goes and takes care of so many other bacteria. So to be progressive and productive, the end result is what matters. If you're progressive and you act on it and you become productive, to be productive, you're making a positive impact on this universe, not just for yourself. It doesn't say self-productive. It says to be productive. So everybody has their own mind, their own agenda, their own strengths. So as long as you're open to suggestions, you're open to newness, you're open to change, and you're willing to do something productive for your surrounding, your life, your loved ones out there, a positive thing, that counts. And if it's done daily, that makes a better universe. So thank you for your outlook. I appreciate it. Afshin John, would you like to share?
Just a bit. You said that you are a pharmacist. Okay, I studied, I had anatomy, physiology, and all the chemistry and all that stuff way back. And what I have learned is that human beings at the age about 19 to 21, our nervous system becomes complete. That means that whatever we have absorbed before this age, it stays in there, and it's very difficult, to change. And that's exactly what you were talking about, okay? It's very difficult to change people. It's very difficult to, say that, okay, what I have learned is not what it is now, okay? I have a very good friend, a Jewish Iranian friend, very Orthodox Jewish, and I was talking to him about a few months ago, and I told him that all these problems that were created in the world, because there was a statistics way back that over 8 billion people have been killed because of these 3 Abrahamic religions up to now. Over 8 billion people. And I was talking to him, and I said that all this stuff started with, all this, the 124,000 prophets, the Jewish prophets. And he said, these prophets are symbolic. And I just couldn't tell him anything else. They are symbolic, okay? That means that they are myth, okay? So the thing, when you talk to this type of people, they just won't get it. They have learned to obey the do's and do nots, okay? And it's very difficult for them, I believe, to understand that, you have your own mind, and, you can decide for yourself other than, listening to what he says or she says, or what, X religion or Y religion says, There's also, I do also have it's 25-page article. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of Dr. I guess his name is R.J. Reynolds. He was a professor at the university back east. I received this I would say about 35 years ago from, Dr. Kupai, right? Late Dr. Kupai. I received this article from him over 35 years ago. I still have the original one. I can actually take a copy and put it online regarding, the Zoroastrian religion and also Mithraism, that how they flourish in the world. And when Judaism came about and Christianity, they all decided to basically get rid of this in Europe, and how much they tried. It's a very interesting article, but overall, I believe it has started working in Iran right now. We are educating a lot of youth in Iran, and I think the Iranians, it's going to take probably about 2 more generations, and I think that the message of Zarathustra is spreading in Iran, and I believe that the things are going to change, hopefully, in the motherland.
Thank you so much. You pointed something about sometimes you can't talk to a person, you can't change their mind. Everyday life, yes, you're not supposed to change anybody's mind. But this is life example. I had a patient who got a prescription for pain medication. And in front of me, I was counseling, and he goes, but this causes a lot of side effects. I don't want to take it. I said, okay, don't take it. Then he goes, but I'm in so much pain. I can't eat, I can't talk, I can't live a normal life. And I said, okay, then you should take it. Then he goes, but what if I get constipation? What if I get hallucination? I'm like, okay, then don't take it. So this conversation went back and forth, back and forth. And when he left, I had no idea if he was going to take it or not take it. You cannot impose anything on anyone, even though it's something that they are asking you and you're telling them the facts. But our job is if it presents, the time presents itself, to tell people there are other ways, like other people tell us that there are other ways of cooking, singing, talking, socializing. There are other ways, and your mind should be open to it. This one person who was getting this prescription did not have an open mind. He was going to do whatever he was going to do, but then he kept asking. And for those people, it is not our job to impose our opinion or the facts or anything. Everybody is on their own. This is what Zoroastrianism is all about. You are on your own. Make a decision. The good comes to you, the bad comes to you because of your actions, your thoughts, your words. So thank you for that opinion. We appreciate it. Felix, would you like to share?
Yes, I'm here with my partner Clarissa. It's her
Hello.
first here.
Hello.
And yeah, maybe she wants to say a few words afterwards.
We want to see her full face. We only see half of her.
There we go.
Welcome.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's very interesting. I'll be short. I think, what's really interesting here is this this idea that actually it's impossible to change someone else's mind, and only the mind can change itself. We don't have access to each other's minds. We have access to some part of our mind, a very limited part, the sort of conscious part, but we don't have access to other people's mind. And it's a conundrum in philosophy where some people even doubt the existence of the external world and other minds and so on. But I think what's really here is that it's only the mind can change itself, and recognizing these basic psychological facts and is quite powerful, and as was said before, is liberating. And it commands for a type of social conduct where you don't impose on other people your own mind, but you're open to seeing or trying to see the mind of other people. I really like the quote, blind faith bars one from seeing the light, enlighten them to help them see. I really like that because when we run into this kind of argument that I feel are more and more present today about how one should live their life, what they should think about a particular topic that none of us are actually expert in, and people start throwing statistics, and then people refer to Google to know if the statistics are true, this or that. No, it's ChatGPT. But we've all been in this dinner conversation that gets really heated and can find no resolution because everybody thinks the other person is amoral for thinking a certain thing and so on. I think what this really says, there's when you're talking to someone blind, you can either tell them you're so blind, oh my God, like how can you be so blind? or you can yeah, try to, you know, show them the light. And that requires you know, I guess, creativity, empathy, and being able to shut down your own position so that you can really try and see the world through their perspective, so you can help them see the light. And most of the time you won't be successful, that's for sure. So it's a very frustrating process. So I guess, you know, that's really what I get from it, is like, you cannot, only the mind can change itself. And even us already, it's very hard to change one's own mind to adapt to what, you know, what I think, the dynamic creative nature of the universe. So yeah, that's kind of what
That is wonderful. That is what Zarathustra was so smart to realize. It is very difficult. He knew that. He wasn't a doctor. He wasn't a psychiatrist. He didn't know about conscious, subconscious, none of that. But he knew that you cannot change people's mind or teach them something new. It is difficult.
Yeah, I want to say one more thing is, the challenge here is that there's so many structure that exist and technologies to change people's mind and control people's mind. Like government exists to control minds. You know, schools exist to shape and control minds, and now computers exist to, you know, control mind as well. They're an extension of our mind, and in some way they're a restriction of our mind, but they're also an amplification of our mind, depending on how they're designed and the people who design them and the goal of these people, right? And so I guess the question here is, how do we deal with structures of power? How do we deal with structures of control when we start from that basic observation that everyone is actually responsible for their mind, but not everybody exercise that responsibility in the same degree? So that there's kind of a conundrum there between, yes, the mind is free, the mind is self-governing, but we live in a world currently, humans haven't found a way to respect that sort of self-governing nature of the mind. And we still depend on structures of control to live with one another, and, you know, in ways that are very ineffective. Like, for example, there should be trains in California instead of cars everywhere. But yeah, so yeah, anyway, that's my take.
Thank you so much. Would you like to say something, Felix's partner? We don't know your name.
Clarissa.
Yeah, sure. What I understand for being progressive is progress with the time. I feel we should question what we believe and question the old belief and see if they still work for us at these times. And about being productive is, once we understand that things are different in these times, we should do something about it. We shouldn't just sit down and see what is wrong. And there is so many people who is not ready for that change, but the best thing that we can do is lead by example.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Good outcome. Thank you. Is Dr. Kumar still with us? I don't.
He's
Are you?
Oh, audio, turn off, unmute yourself.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here. I'm new to this group. But
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tashakar. I'm really happy to hear everybody's views. Afshin Aga, Fariba Khanum, and the other one who's the pharmacist I didn't
Mitra. My name is
Mitra Khanum, hello, how are you? And even Felix, what you've all alluded to, but talking about the mind, and you've also expressed you have patients as a pharmacist. So in my private practice, you know, I'm a doctor of medicine and surgery, but my specialty is psychotherapy. And I do agree with you. We often feel like, you know, yes, we cannot tell anybody how to think, how to make a decision on the medications that I'm suggesting, things like that. But it is so amazing. Somebody once told me, oh, cognitive behavioral therapy, that's such a new age thing. And I said, cognitive behavioral, guess what? All of my family members, I have lineage from Persia, settled in India, but it's already there in our different layers of the feathers of our Farvahar, you know, it's like we have good thoughts, good words, good deeds. That's cognitive behavioral therapy, the cognitions, and then the behavior. So actually, it's always been there. It's just been put into Western medicine now as something different, but it's actually been there. If you go to the simplicity of the, you know, I had the for the Avesta right here. And a lot of things are, maybe in Farsi, it's written in old, it used to be called Farzig, older languages, but it was always there. And this part right here keeps our the words of Zarathustra and Zoroastrianism in general. It's actually very simple. It's not very complex. And that is why I think the mind can be very pure with this philosophy that we all are talking about. You just have to have your good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. And then you have peace. And then you don't force it upon somebody else. I love this part that you're having as a theme today. So Motashakaram for talking about this. I think it's really very useful. And
Thank you so
something
much.
my family members have been talking about this a lot. And they sometimes say, why did you go to psychotherapy? I said, I'm doing what you've taught me.
Yeah, thank you so much. It is so true. The most simple thing to tell people, good thoughts, good words, good deeds, go figure it out. There
Yes.
is no explanation. It is just all there. It is just in one word. You can follow those things, and if you had good thoughts, good words, and good things, you will be progressive. You will be productive. So it's just practicing it, and everybody can practice it on their own, and nobody can question it. I mean, what else do you want to say? Is it not good to have good thoughts? Is it not beneficial? It's so airtight about how you can achieve greatness and happiness that there is no argument to anybody if you say that. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I appreciate it.
Beshak and Kheri Mamnoon, I'd just like to say one of my dearest friends is also here, Majid, and he's here for the first time.
Oh,
So
yeah, I
he's
see.
a Zoroastrian, and he's very intelligent. I just wanted to say he's shy, his camera's off, but I welcome you, Majid, dear friend of our family. He's been there since my daughter Shahrazad was born, and my son Arman is a good friend of, so he's a very supportive, very nice individual.
That's okay. Thank you so much for being here, Majid. Even though we can't see you, one of these days when you attend our meetings, you can show your face and have an opinion. We would love to hear it.
We are here in Oregon for the Oregon Zoroastrian Society.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Payam John, would you like to have a few words?
Hello, yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's good. Great to see everybody. It's good to see my friend Afshin, Mr. Afshin. I really like the message for today about the progression of goodness or Asha. I was actually having that conversation with somebody who was curious about what I follow. And one of the things that I like about the evolution of what is good is, like you said, what was okay 5 years ago is not the case right now, and you see it, 2,000 years ago slavery was deemed okay, and then today we've realized how wrong it was, and then on the other side on the other side, we would see, who people loved was deemed immoral, but now today they have the freedom to choose that. And one perfect example was there was someone online that was curious about what Zoroastrians think on the idea of homosexuality, and I commented that it's I think we're focusing too much on the fact that they're of the same sex rather than what they can contribute. There are a lot of, I mentioned that there are a lot of children in in adoption centers who don't have a family, and there are a lot of families who can't have children because it's not a male or female, or it's not a male and female dynamic, and so they help out society by adopting these children that need that kind of home, that family. So I think that is a better way to look at that type of relationship than to just look at the basic of, oh, these people, it's immoral because a book told us 2,000 years ago that it's immoral, rather than what they can contribute to society. And so and I was actually thinking about this idea of progressive thinking, and so that was what was on the back of my mind.
Yeah, thank you so much for that example. I've been asked that question, what does Zoroastrianism think about homosexuality? And my answer is that this ideology does not micromanage anything about anybody's life. This is one of them. It doesn't tell you what job to pick. It doesn't tell you how to eat, what to drink, how to dance, how to have a relationship. Those are micromanaging a personal choice. And that is of this religion. So it never was part of this religion. We don't talk about that. The major thing is what Dr. Kumar said. Good thoughts, good words, good deeds. You're done. And then the rest of it is just icing on the cake. The Amishal Sapanta, all the Hordavasad, the Gathas, all of that. Those are just the flowers in this garden that make it beautiful. So yeah, I just tell them whatever is right for a person and make him a better person and make him a happier individual, that is their choice. None of anybody else's business. So I think we have RJ. Bahram, last but not the least.
Awesome. Yeah, this was a very great message today. I really loved it. And, as I see about being progressive, it's more than just, I would say, being about trying to better your environment or the lives of people or better yourself. I always see, progression also being as like a test of evolution of your spirit, of your mind and your body. Because, life is a battle, within us and outside of us. There's Druge, there's Asha, and every day we should tell ourselves, am I wiser? Am I better? Am I stronger than I was the previous day? Because, in this world, as we were discussing, people talk about you can't change the mind, but constantly there are forces around us that are constantly getting stronger, and these are usually forces of Druge, and they're seeking to find ways they can control our minds. Because even in Zarathustra's day, we can go back to Yasna 3210. He talked about when the Karapans and the Kavis, were misleading people with their religion, with their delusions, and Zarathustra said something very profound. He taught how these very people saw seeing the sun and the earth with open eyes, with respect, as the greatest sin. And I think what that leads to is the fact that, falsehood is all around us. And those who have power want to make sure that you are shrouded in that falsehood. And this is why, it is important that all of us, invoke Vohumana, Spentomania, these progressive forces, because not only do they give us strength, but they give us the ability to see through the darkness, through the light, and they allow us to become those examples to be for other people. It was like Felix was saying, or Felix's, girlfriend was saying, when you're that example, when you hold on to that light, people will see that you'll radiate, and then they'll have them question how they too can be better individuals. Because I think ultimately what this whole thing is about with progressiveness is that too many people are comfortable, and comfort is what people gravitate to. And once comfort is challenged, that's when people get defensive. That's when they get closed-minded, because people don't like to change what is familiar to them. People want to remain to what is familiar. And being a Zoroastrian, it really challenges you to be better, to look outside the box and to move forward. And that's why this verse that we're talking about today is so important, because progressive, again, is not just being about, seeing, homosexuality as permissible, or that. It's all about becoming your better self. It's all about evolving and becoming stronger. Because remember, between Druge and Asha, um, Asha in an individual must always grow, because if that is not the case, then you'll be weak in front of Druge. And if Druge is powerful, then the whole world is shrouded in falsehood. So as Zoroastrians, we're all about realizing Asha into this world, being stronger and being better than what we were before. And also with the progressiveness of life, yeah, we should all look to seeing that we can make our environment better, the lives of people better, spreading Ushta. So it's a win-win. You become stronger, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, your environment radiates with happiness and thrives, and that realizes Asha. So it's every day is all about becoming better and better. That's what ultimately what it means to invoke the spirit of Spentimania. It's all about that growing, because Spentimania is what the creative and progressive mentality or spirit, whatever you want to call it, but it's all about growing. And as life continues, we should always grow to become stronger and better. So that is my input for today.
Thank you so much. That was a lot of wisdom shared with us.
Mm.
And, you know, I appreciate every single one of you. We don't have to change our mind. We just listen to each other. We might have just one spark of something that somebody said. It just opens your mind. I actually heard something that is changing my mind a little bit about how I will discuss stuff with other people. So I appreciate that. You know, things come to you. One word out there can just spark an intelligent process starting in your mind. It takes just one right word, right time, right place to do that. And hopefully one of us or all of us can do that for other people, because that makes us a better person. And that makes us followers of Zarathustra, who said, share my message. That's all he asked us to do, to understand and share his message. So hopefully we can do that.
Mark, you had your hand up. Did you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk real quick. I'm gonna let you guys continue, and then I'll just say my piece, if that's okay.
No, actually, I was just gonna say thank you so much. So say your piece, because we're saying goodbye. It's almost.
Yeah. So I
say
just
your
wanted to
piece.
kind of close up and say that we can't change people's minds, but we need to work with people. I think that an ambivalence towards the everything is kind of not going to be in our best interest. Where society has been structured in our current way, where I imagine most of us are in the West, as an extractive process, an exploitative process, and I think that through ongoing work, we need to kind of move that and offer restitution from the societies of which these structures have been built upon. So I think that it's important to actually face these issues head on and not be just ambivalent towards it and say, oh, well, it's if we follow the threefold path, everything will be fine, which is not true. We actually need to make a game plan and work together socially to achieve harmony. And we can't have that as long as the current existing structures are still exploitative, are still extractive, because we're going to be free, but at the cost of everybody else. So I think that's important, that a lot of people want to talk about where Brother Bahram talked about, where, you know, we need to kind of engage with society as it is. We can't just, you know, we need to actually have a liberating society. And we don't have that now. We don't. We have a society built on the imposition of moral value. And me as a Zoroastrian, we as Zoroastrians need to see that and fix that. We can't just be like, oh, it'll be fine. No, that's not true at all. So we need to participate in the ongoing struggle versus evil, which is falsehood. It's negative. Anything that is life denying behavior, we engage with life affirming behavior. So I think that's pretty much all I wanted to touch on.
Thank you so much. And hopefully one good deed at a time, one day at a time, one person at a time, we can make a difference. And that should be a goal for a lot of people. So hopefully we accomplished something positive today and we can spread it. Thank you all for joining us. Hope to see you all later. Bye-bye.
Have a good rest of the weekend until next time.
And also thank you, Artemis, to be present at this Zoom. We didn't see your beautiful face, but we appreciate you. I want everybody to know without her, oh, there she is. Thank you so much for being here. Your presence makes so much sense to us and makes it so much better.
She
Thank
has
you to both
five
of you.
balls juggling at the same time, usually, and we appreciate your sticking with us.
Thank you. And have a
Thank
good
you so
day.
much. Thank you for this amazing talk, and thank you everybody for your comments. I enjoyed everything. Thank you.
I would
Have a
like
good
to
day.
ask, can we see this on recording? Since it's
Yes.
recorded, can we see the link later if I want to show my wife?